Hey folks, up until now all the lessons in my series on playing backup banjo in the thumb lead two-finger style have focused on basic picking patterns. The boom chick, and then the boom chicka, and then thirdly the booma chicka. And today we're going to take a look at how and when we might ornament those patterns a bit using hammers, slides, and pulls. And I'll just lay out one caveat before we get started here. There really are no hard and fast rules on how to use ornaments when playing backup. So what I'm going to do is suggest some guidelines based on my playing. And bear in mind that this is not the final word on the matter at all. Somebody else might have some different thoughts on this or a different approach. And as you develop your backup playing, you may well come up with your own aesthetic and own ideas about how to use ornaments when playing backup. So just take these as some thoughts to get you started, to get you directed, and where things go from there is entirely up to you. Well, let's then launch into looking at these guidelines. Well, the first guideline I want to suggest is to use ornaments sparingly. Too many ornaments can become distracting or compete with whoever's carrying the melody, be it a singer or a lead instrument. So hang back, don't get carried away with throwing in ornaments. Look for where they seem to contribute to playing backup without putting you in a competing position. Generally, I don't throw a whole lot of ornaments into my backup playing, but it just depends upon the piece, the tempo, and the overall vibe of whatever's being played. Now, bear in mind that we've gotten this far without using ornaments. We've gone through 6 lessons, we've covered 3 different picking patterns and enhancements to those patterns like alternating thumb and skeletal melody notes and double booms. And it's been good enough. If you don't ever want to use ornaments in your backup playing, you're good to go. You don't have to. So you could just ignore this whole lesson, take what you learned in the first 6 lessons, and you can play backup till the end of time and it'll all be good. So use ornaments sparingly is my first suggestion. My second suggestion is to put the ornaments on the booms for the most part, rather than replacing chicks or chickas with ornaments. Although you can do that, and I'll give you an example of that in a second. So by ornamenting the boom, you're effectively turning it into a booma, where you're doing whether you're doing a hammer, whether you're doing a slide, whether you're doing a pull-off. Now we have 2 short notes or a beat and an offbeat. So we're just adding this offbeat or this tweener note when we basically ornament a boom. Let's look at a few examples of that. I'll start with an example on a G chord of a single measure, 4/4 time. And the basic pattern here is going to be boom, chick, boom, chicka. The first boom being on the open 3rd string and the second boom being on the open 4th string. So here's the pattern. Now what we can do is on that second boom on the open 4th string, just hammer to the 2nd fret, turn that into from a boom to a boom ah. So that's our new maneuver. And let's play that passage with the hammer in it. Enhances the whole thing just a little bit, but doesn't go over the top in terms of playing backup. So hammers on that 4th string work out pretty well. Here's another example where we're going to go from a G chord to a D chord back to a G chord, like we do at the end of a lot of songs. And this is going to go across 2 measures of 4/4 time. So the basic pattern here is going to be boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chick, boom chicka. First boom is going to be the open 2nd string. Second boom is going to be 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then the last 2 booms are going to be on the open 3rd string. So we start off in the G chord with that B note on the 2nd string. That second boom, where we hold down the 3rd string at the 2nd fret, that's effectively our D chord. And then we'll come off that in the 2nd measure, just play the open 3rd string again, back to a G chord. So this is going to sound like... throw in here is a slide. It's going to be a 2 to 4 slide on the 3rd string. And what we're going to do is replace that first boom on the open 2nd string with that 2 to 4 slide on the 3rd string. And what we're really doing is sliding from the 2nd fret, which is an A, up to a B on the 4th fret. So rather than playing that B note on the beat, we're going to slide into that note on the offbeat, and it works out really well. Here's how it goes. Alrighty, so a couple examples there. And like I said, I prefer to put my ornaments on top of booms, but in the right situation, you can replace a chick or a chicka with an ornamented note. I generally don't do that because I like the chicks and the chickas kind of as the foundation of my backup playing. So if I do replace chicks and chickas, it's again going to be very sparing when I do that. I really like keeping that solid chick or chicka going throughout my backup playing. But let's look at an example where this might work. And let's take, again, a single measure of 4/4 time, and we're going to play boom, chicka, boom, chick. And the first boom is going to be on the open 4th string. Then on the chicka, we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the 4th string for the chick, and then followed by the on the open 1st string with a finger. So this passage is going to be that could be the ending of Cripple Creek, for example, or many other songs. So one thing we could do here is replace that chicka with a slide from 2 to 4 on the 4th string. So taking the chicka out and putting an ornamented note in, starting on the 2nd fret and sliding up to the 4th fret. And that would sound like this. Still works out, not over the top. It's all good for playing backup. So there's just some examples where we might put different ornaments either on the boom or in some cases on the chick or the chicka. And then thirdly, I like to use ornaments on filler notes rather than on melody notes when the singer is singing or the lead instrument is playing the melody. You're not competing with anyone at that point. The singer isn't singing, the lead instrument is not playing a melody, you're just in a holding pattern there, so that's a good chance to add a little something to what you're doing there. And you know, if you watch bluegrass banjo pickers, when they're playing backup, they just hang in the background, boom, chick, maybe a little rolling pattern, but nothing too fancy, just something really simple and solid. And then when there's a break in the melody, some filler notes, they might step up and play some lick in there, and then they fall back just to boom checking along. And that's what I'm talking about here. It's just the same thing bluegrass pickers often do. So like I said, this, for the most part, is how I like to use ornaments. Put them on filler notes. And with that said, let's go ahead and look at how we might apply this idea of ornaments on filler notes to Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and then we'll take a look at a couple other songs in different tunings as well. If we take a look at the chorus of Will the Circle Be Unbroken and kind of run through it, we have filler notes not only at the end of the chorus, but halfway through the chorus at the end of the second line, there's some filler notes as well, and those are both great places to put in some ornaments. And this is a very common structure throughout a lot of traditional songs. You've got filler notes kind of halfway in between and filler notes at the end. Look for that and exploit that pattern as you're playing backup. Listen for when there's filler notes and take that as an opportunity to do a little something there. So what I'll do is just use this hammer to the 2nd fret of the 4th string as the filler note when I play the chorus of Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and we'll see how that works out. Here we go. 1, 2. Will the circle be unbroken? by and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. All right, so it wasn't a whole lot, just one simple little hammer when we're in that holding pattern at the end of the second line and also at the end of the chorus. Nobody's singing, nobody's playing lead at that point, so it's an opportunity to just put a little something extra in there. And in that particular case, that hammer to the second fret of the fourth string worked out pretty well. Now, this same approach of using hammers on filler notes works in other tunings and other keys as well, but what fret you hammer to will change depending upon the tuning and the key or the mode. Let's use an example from playing a modal tune, and let's go to the G sawmill tuning and see how it works there. So what I'm going to do is tune my second string up from a B to a C. There we go, close enough. And now, to make that work in this modal tuning, the sawmill tuning, rather than hammering to the second fret, I'm going to hammer to the third fret of the fourth string to give us that eerie modal feel. So let me just do that a few times. Versus if I hammer to the second string, it's going to feel very major. It's the same as what we did in Will the Circle Be Unbroken. But when we shift to that third string, because that's a note in that modal or Dorian scale, it works out. Well, let me apply that to a little bit of Shady Grove. Now, Shady Grove doesn't have the filler notes in the middle, but it does have filler notes at the end, and you can sit there for as long as you want until you go to the next verse. So it's not structured quite like Will the Circle Be Unbroken is, but it still has filler notes at the end. Let's give it a go. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm going away. Went to see Shady Grove, standing in the door, shoes and stockings in her hand, little bare feet on the floor. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, I'm going back to Harlan. All right, once again, just a little something extra on those filler notes, but doesn't present a distraction or a competition. I was able to sing without distracting myself doing lots of ornaments while I was playing backup. I just threw the ornaments in when I had a break in the phrases. Okay, one more tuning. Let's take a look at playing in the double C tuning, or in some cases, if you capo 2, it'd be a double D tuning for playing the key of D. But let me go into that tuning. So now I just need to drop my fourth string from a D to a C. And I'm in double C. Here, we're going to shift to the third string for the hammer. And once again, we're going to hammer at the second fret. So rather than using the fourth string, we're going to use the third string, and we're going to perform hammers at the second fret. So now it would be something like this, just on the simple C chord. Little higher pitched, we're in a different key, we're in a different tuning, so we change the string and where we hammer. How about I apply that to the wreck of the old 97? So I'll just sing a couple verses of that. Again, we have the same structure as we did with Will the Circle Be Unbroken. In the middle of the lyric, there's a break with some filler notes, and we can put that hammer in there. And then at the end of the lyric, we have filler notes, and we could put hammers there as well. So let's see how that works out. Well, the orders came in to Monroe Station saying, Steve, you're way behind time. This is not 38, but the old 97, you must put her into Spencer on time. Now Steve turned around to his black grease fireman saying, shovel in a little more coal. And when we cross that white oak mountain, you can watch old 97 roll. All right, so same structure as Will the Circle Be Unbroken, but we're in a different key, different tuning. So we shifted that hammer on the filler notes to the second fret of the second string. So keep that in mind when you're in the double C, double D tuning and playing backup. Look for opportunities to use ornaments on that, did I say second string? Third string is where we want to put those ornaments. Well, that's it for today's lesson. Let's just wrap it up and take a look at what's coming next. Ornaments, that is hammers, slides, and pull-offs, are best used sparingly, if at all, when playing backup. And all you really need to do is use your judgment as to whether an ornament enhances your backup playing without distracting from whoever's carrying the lead or competing with whoever's carrying the lead. In my opinion, one of the best places to put ornaments is on filler notes between phrases at the end of lines or at the end of lyrics and choruses. And to me, hammers work particularly well on those filler notes, but you could put slides, you could put pulls there. It just depends upon the piece. You just have to work it out. But filler notes are great places to add ornaments when you're playing backup. Okay, that kind of sums it up. Lesson 8 will be the final lesson in this series, and we're going to take a look at another one-off topic, just like today, and that topic is going to look at keys and tunings we use to play in different keys. So it's not really about any backup patterns, it's more of how do you contend with playing in all sorts of different keys. All right, until then, keep having fun and keep on picking.